Welcome to the Love and Growth Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Jason. This is Danielle. And we started talking a little bit today of just kind of going over some thoughts of just what we've really kind of made our why into this progression in this world of where we got into.
Yeah. I don't think we ever actually sat down and said, why are we doing the podcast? Why do we have the relationship group?
Yeah, and I think this is what you brought up earlier is a good part of it's a good part of the total why of what we've really set out to do. But I think this is a real big issue in today's society.
Yeah. So first, the journey kind of came about because I started in a group and I realized that we run our relationship a lot different than most people. And throughout this journey and going through things, like I'm very passionate about the nuclear family.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate. I have like a mission now that like I want to fortify these relationships and really bring people together and really have a solid foundation as a relationship and as a family.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like almost now like I have a mission to do this.
Yeah, it's great. And I think the idea of the nuclear family let's face it, has been destroyed over the last bunch of years for all different worlds. And we may get into it, we may not. But I think the idea of growing the relationship and solidifying the relationship in the realm of saving the nuclear family, I think is the big thing. Because I think we've gone through generations where parents have got to take it easy. They wanted to become friends. They wanted to become, just buddies with their kids instead of actually setting a standard, setting a role models, and really just developing behaviors. The timeouts and this and that versus, actually, I feel like, and I thought about this during the day after we talked about it, was like kids nowadays are more fearful. Fearful might be a bad word. They're more worried of having a phone taken away than if a parent is disappointed in them. Like that connection is completely gone. I mean, not gone all over, but like on the whole, if you have a kid that's acting out and to punish them, like you can't even have a conversation with them. But if you take a phone away, all hell breaks loose. Like, let's be realistic. They're so addicted to that and the feedback that is giving that it's destroying the personal connections between the family.
But that situation is not even the kids. Well, it's the partners too.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's why our number one rule on date night is no screens.
Yeah.
Because it does. Like, how often are you talking to your partner and you're yeah, okay, whatever you say. Like,
right. Or you have to hold on. 1 second.
Let me finish.
1 second. Yeah. I gotta send this message. I was like that for a long time. Hold on, I just gotta send this. Let me just return this text. Mm-hmm. Oh, I gotta get back to him or take this. I mean, yeah, and I think that what you're saying is so true that we've lost touch of the connection between people in the sense of we've sacrificed that for the dopamine or the dopamine hits of just scrolling through a phone or scrolling through this or just, doom scrolling on Instagram and Twitter and all that other bullshit.
Yeah. And I know this is going to sound repetitive, but you know what? It's ruining communication.
Yeah.
Well, because we talk about communication a lot, but communication is like the number one thing that you need to fortify your relationship, to have that foundation and make sure you don't end up in divorce and make sure you don't end up being broken and make sure this does like.
I'm glad you took it there because I was just thinking about that and I'm like, listen, I'm not a statistician. I'm not that. But a lot of people say, money is the root of divorce. Like a lot of people will cite money for divorce. And I have to say, like, if you communicate about money, regardless if it's good or if it's bad, if you can communicate about it, like, then you can save it.
Correct.
It's not the actual financial issue.
It's the issue of not wanting to discuss finances.
Yeah.
Not communicating the finances. And that's right. It's not the money itself.
Right.
It's the lack of communication around that.
But let's take that same framework and let's think about the actual ripple through the family. If I can't communicate with you about money's a stressor. There's so many other stressors that we deal with. Like, what are we showing our children? What are we showing them to grow up to be like? Well, my parents didn't talk about this. Well, my parents didn't talk about that. So they'll grow up in the same realm. Like, it's to the point where it's like, I don't know where things were when I was little, and maybe in that time I shouldn't have. I knew we had this, I knew we could do that, I knew we did this. Like there was no real open communication. I didn't see open communication. So then when I grow up and I look at things and we start to talk, like why would I talk to you about money? When money's good, money's good. I don't have to say, don't do this, don't do that. If money's bad, I get stressed out and I start to shut down. So that shuts my communication off that way. In the same token, it's like the kids see that. Whether you fight behind closed doors, don't come at me telling me, well, I don't fight in front of my kids. No offense, like they feel it. Like they feel the stress, they feel the anxiety, they feel that stuff. Like it's there. And so by not being able to communicate that message or grow from that message, I think it's not the finances, it's not this. And when you're looking at the community or the family as a whole, not being able to communicate crushes a family. And not being able to do that at a level where everybody knows where they fall in the family is detrimental. Because then these kids are going to go up and repeat that same exact cycle.
Right. And I think that's something that you and I are working on really hard. Because, like, you grew up a certain way and I grew up a certain way. Like, I grew up in a broken home.
Yeah.
Right? I was raised by a single mom. I was a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I've been the child on that end and I've been the parent on that end. And both suck.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I mean, shit happens, life is life, and it doesn't always go according to plan, right? So, like, yes, that might suck. But now I'm on the other end where we are married. We do have children. We are a solid family. And it's like, this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah. And but it's not, we can't even say like, hey, this is how it's supposed, like, this is the model family. This is what it's supposed to be like for us.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying we're a model family. I'm not saying that we're perfect. Because believe me, we are far from perfect.
Yep.
Nobody is perfect. But when you have the male figure in your life like you're supposed to, or when you have a male role model, then that's like, for me, I was a single mom with a boy.
Yeah.
So that was a really big missing factor. And I think that it's a problem in society today, right? Like, weak boys. And to me, it's like we are the generation that's breaking the cycle of how we grew up.
For us, yeah.
So it's like, no, I want our kids to see us communicate.
Yeah.
To see us, like, they know when we're fighting. Mm-hmm. Even if we don't fight in front of them, they know that we're fighting. So instead of hiding that from them, we say, yeah, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
This is what's happening right now.
Yeah, that's a very open line to that. I think what you're talking about, especially with weak men in society, it's become an epidemic. Like, let's face it, it's been frowned upon. I mean, men that stand up and assume that role of husband and father have been just pushed down for so far to the point where, like, it doesn't even seem normal anymore, because what you see on, like, think about it. And I saw this the other day. It's leaked into just every aspect of society. Like, girls are girl bosses. But if a guy starts to stand up and take a role, like, it's toxic masculinity. And then you turn around and you look and you see, like, television shows. Like, how many television shows do you actually see that have strong male role models? Back when I was young, you had that. You had those. You had the strong you had the strong central family with the strong father who worked, who stuck up for his family and led that way. But then you got things like what they're trying to be portrayed now, and you're looking at, like, The Simpsons. Father's an idiot. Family Guy. Father's an idiot. They're drunk. They're fat. They're overweight. They're stupid. They're this. Like, what they're trying to portray in today's society, or even worse, when the father is completely removed from the home in the show. And it's like, we don't have to normalize this. We shouldn't be normalizing it. Yes, people go through things in life. Yes, fathers will separate and families will be broken. Like, we understand that it happens. But that shouldn't be the norm. Right. It shouldn't be looked upon as like, yeah, you own your independence. You shouldn't want to own your independence. Like, no offense, like, neither person should be completely independent. I can't build this life without you. Like, I can build a life and I will be extremely successful. You can build a life and you'll be extremely successful on your own. But together, is what makes things so much different.
But we can't build this life right here.
We can't build this
without
life.
Each other.
Correct. And that's the difference. Like when you realize what you can build together, when you can realize what you can build as a team, and when you come together on the same path, that is the difference. And I think that the misconception of what men are supposed to be nowadays is just detrimental, not only to the women that are raising the kids without them, but the detriment to the sons of not having a role model of what a man should be. The daughters of not having a role model of what a man should be, having that in the home, and then mom having to live both roles. They can't. Like women can't act like men. They can put on a show. They can follow some of the stereotypical traits. But at the end of the day, a man acts like a man, a woman acts like a woman. And the beautiful thing is you can have masculine traits. I can have feminine traits. Mm-hmm. I suck at them, but I have some.
Well, everybody has masculine and feminine traits.
Correct.
But in society now, they're trying to reverse those roles and make the women hyper-masculine and the men hyper-female.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the way to really destroy a home is to eliminate the men. Mm-hmm. Is to eliminate the male father, strong father. Yeah. The male strong father figure. If you eliminate the male strong father figure, you destroy the home. You destroy the relationships. Then you destroy the future. And I think that the looking at that and looking at the mother who already has one of the hardest jobs in the history of the world. Like you're not on the top of those little lights changing the light bulbs for planes and stuff. But keeping children alive, like I can't do that. You leave me alone for a little while, like we'll survive. You take too long, it'll turn into like Lord of the Flies.
Right, but let's stop there for a second because this I can personally, like this is something that I have actually processed like recently, where I realized I was depressed at being a stay-at-home mom because I didn't know how that added value to the family. Because, and I think that goes along with all the stuff that we're saying right now. Like, stay-at-home mom is not like a role that they push anymore. Now it's like, go be the girl boss. Go be this. Yeah, go out and go
be a stay-at-home mom. Get your side hustle. Do this. Do that.
Yeah, like go break the glass ceiling. Go hustle. Go do this.
Yeah.
That then when I did turn stay-at-home mom, and I mean, let's face it, like I was that. Yeah. I was that. I need to go get it. I need to provide for my kid. I need to do this.
Yeah.
That then when I had the opportunity, and believe me, I know it is a blessing, and I know that. And I didn't have that luxury with our son, but I have it now. And it crushed me because I didn't know how to feel value as a mother.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we would have figured that out sooner, you could have just left me alone for a couple hours and you'd be like, okay, I get it. This is where I need to be. But at the same point in time, like looking at that and going, you know, your role as a mom is higher value than anything else. Like it is because I can't mimic that connection. I can't mimic that connection you have with our son. I can't mimic the connection you have with her. I mean, regardless of what people say as far as, oh, daddy-daughter. Yes, there is a daddy-daughter connection, which is something else, but like nothing is a substitute for mom. It's not. Because we know it, because it's like she can be scared. Okay, you need dad. That's what happens when she's scared. But when she's hurt, she's hungry, she's sad, dad's not the go-to. Like, maybe I can be, but like, that's not. I'll be a sad substitute. That's what it is. But thinking about it, it's like, okay, but how much impact does that have when you demasculate a man, or he chooses to demasculate himself because he wants to fit the trend of society wherever you are at the spectrum, just hear me out. He has to take that role where, oh, women are this, or women, I stand up for women's rights. I stand up for this. I want to be, my wife can earn all the money and this can that, and I will be the stay-at-home dad and I will do. The fact of the matter is 99% of the time that is not replicatable. It's just not. And that's okay.
Right. And that's because the mother has those nurturing traits.
Correct.
The mother leads with feminine. That's where the soft, the nurturing, the caring, the providing, like that all comes from the feminine side.
Yeah. But then you look at it and you go, okay, but here's where I start to see the damage seriously being done. And not just in the relationship. The relationship is, we'll use the word flawed. The relationship will be flawed because unless they can come to a certain balance of like, okay, you're going to really take on the masculine role, I'm really going to take on the feminine role, wherever that leads you. But anyway, beyond the parents, what are you teaching your kids? You're automatically showing a son how to live. You're automatically showing a daughter how to live. If you want your kids to grow up and do that same thing, 9 times out of 10, not a statistician, a girl is going to grow up to want to be taken care of by a man. Taken care of, like, on the broad scope of it. She handles her role, he handles his. Both handle their things. A boy will want to grow up to seek out, protect, and provide for a woman. That's our type. That's what we do. But if you're only mimicking that swapped role all the time, what are you showing that next generation? Then what happens to the next generation? You're bleeding that through all the way down. So you're constantly teaching these traits that just don't fit. Right. And it's not about being normal. Please don't hear me and say like, oh, just be normal. It's not about fucking normal. It's about being what the common trait is in what our DNA is. We want to hunt. We want to provide. We want to protect. Women want to nurture. They want to create those bonds. They want to know that they can take care of everything because all through time, that is what works.
Right.
It's what works.
Right.
Up until 5 minutes ago.
Right. Well, I think that was a lot of when you and I were butting heads and we were not good. And that's because we were both in our masculine.
Yeah.
I was in my, I'm independent. I don't fucking need you. Yep. Like, that was me. It was. Mm-hmm. And it was like until you stepped up to the next level to be like, no, I am the protector, I am the provider, and I'm fucking here, so you're going to step the fuck down. Like, until you actually got to that, where I guess society would say toxic masculine, right? It didn't allow me to, I couldn't step down from that. Like, right. Because you still, like, you had to completely step up here because I was such a strong masculine energy. So it was like you had to get even stronger so that I could be like, oh, okay, yeah, like, and this isn't in like an aggressive way or anything like that, but it's just until you became that strong, I couldn't let down my guard.
Well, it's because you had a history of having to be that way for so long. Like, I mean, you were a single mom long before I met you. So like you always had to be in that role and that role and that role. And let's face it, when you have a history of something, you bring that kind of history in there. It's not an overnight change. I mean, especially together, like you're not going to overnight change and be like, okay, well, you take it now. Like you can't just pass the torch.
But that's why the balance is so important. Because there are some relationships where the man will be a little bit more feminine and the female will be a little bit more masculine.
A little bit.
But as long as you have that, you're balanced. And somebody does have the opposite dominant trait. Yeah. It can work.
Can. I mean, but I still go back to it and still say, like, if you're still functioning that way and the roles are reversed, I may be wrong. You can roast me if you want. Don't give a shit. If you're still going that way, it is still putting on a show. And you're still living in a story that you put in your own head versus actually listening to your own DNA. And that's what you see nowadays. You're seeing studies after study after study come out that are women that are older that might be married or anything like that, but really chase careers and really chase jobs. And were super successful, have a higher rate of actually being depressed, have an actual higher rate of going through that depression state because I can only make assumptions, opinion, like, because it's not true to who their actual nature is.
Right. But I also think, like, because for me, I was a complete opposite. I was working and I was doing everything and I was fine. And then when I stopped, I didn't know how to deal with that. And that's because society pushes so hard that we should work. We should do this. We should bring in our own money. We should. Like, well, who the fuck are you to tell me what I should do?
Yep. You don't change these fucking diapers.
So it was.
My dad made a good thing one time. We were this offshoot of it. My dad, we went to buy a car. He always did this when we bought cars. It's a weird story talking about, you don't change the diaper. But we used to buy cars, and as soon as he would buy the car, he would make them take their logo off the back of the car. And they would never, they would ask, oh, why would we take this off? He said, you don't pay these bills. It's the same thing. Like, you can't come in my house and tell me how to raise my kids because, like, you don't change these diapers. You don't put food on their table. Like, we do this.
But all that influence, right, with social media and how easy it is to get information or see the lives of other people, right? It's like, lives. Oh, well, yeah. Quote unquote lives. Yeah. But you see all this stuff and you take in all of that and it's like, okay, so am I doing something wrong by being a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah, because they're going to push you to be like,
and hey. Like, how shitty is that? Like, how shitty is that I need to feel like I'm not valuable as a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I can't talk from a stay-at-home mom perspective, but if you look at social media nowadays, what do you see? You see girl boss, bitch bullshit, and then you see guys who are, pushing for equality and this and that, and they're fighting the good fight with it. Or on the flip side, everybody's being talked down when they try to say, like, men should be men. Like, bring men back, bring strong men back. Like, that's being faulted. Women are being pushed, tried to raise up. And then it's like, well, what the hell do you want from everybody? Like, you're just pushing narratives. It's just bullshit. And it's like, if that's the case, everybody wants to show the flash and the highlight reels. And I could do this on my own. I could do this on my own. Like, if you have to put so much of that and you have to say that so many times on social media, I'm going to call bullshit.
Right, but here's like the bottom line too is I don't want to do it alone.
I would say most people don't.
So like, yeah, I'm an individual. You're an individual.
Yep.
But we align ourselves with where we want to be. So it's like why would I not want to have that?
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be an individual. I don't need to do I don't want that. You're my husband. You're my best friend. You're the person that I want to be with.
Yeah.
All the time. Stuck to you like glue.
All the time.
But seriously, like, why would I talk shit about my husband and be like, I need to go out with the girls so I can go, oh my God, can you believe your husband? Blah, 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 blah. Like, no, my husband's my best friend and I want to do everything with you.
Yeah, and I think people talk about that like a toxic trait where it's like, well, you guys should have your own lives, your own this, your own that. Like, why? Why the fuck would I want that? Why would I be with somebody where I'm like, man, I can't wait to have guys' night and get away? Like, what the fuck?
Right.
And then you look at it and you go, okay, but again, we're talking about the nuclear family. We're talking about this in the grand scheme of it all. We prioritize our relationship, everything like that, but everything that we do, say, work on, figure out, show is seen by the kids. And they mimic the same behaviors. They'll mimic the same personality traits. They'll say the same things. They'll do the same things. Like, the idea that these kids don't understand or they'll live up to be their own way, they are going to live up to what you put in front of them. They are going to live into the role that you put in front of them and you show it. And it's not about what you say, it's about what you do on a daily basis. So if you're a man, be a fucking man. If you're a woman, be a fucking woman. You're a toaster, be a fucking toaster. But at the same point in time, be the role model for your fucking family. Be the role model that fits for the life that you're creating. Yeah. But don't think that you can give these kids autonomy and just say, well, this is how we do things. You can grow up to do whatever you want. They're going to grow up to do what they find familiar.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I mean, unless they make a very conscious effort to not.
But at that point, they have to physically know what they don't want.
Well, I'm using us for an example.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like,
you know that you don't want to sit in separate rooms and fucking text each other or something, right? And I know that I don't want my children to ever worry if their dad is coming home.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. It fucking sucks.
Right.
I don't want to have to grind all the time to provide as a single mother.
And I don't want that for my daughter.
Right. So we consciously made that choice that we don't want to be like either one of our parents.
Right.
Our relationship. Like we don't want a relationship like either one of our parents.
But think about that.
We want it at the next level because we cherish the nuclear family because we have these set standards and these set beliefs. And that's enough to make us change.
But that's the point. We had to change. We grew up to act the same way because that's what we knew. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, I can't tell our kids to do X, Y, and Z, show them A, B, and C, and expect them to do something different. They're going to find their way back to what they're used to and what their comfort level is. So to make a conscious point is big, but at the end of the day, you have to model the behavior. You have to show and be the role model. You want girls to grow up and pick good guys? Be a good fucking guy.
Show her how a guy should treat a girl.
Yeah.
Take your daughter out on dates.
Not only that, show them love. Like, all they do is highlight dads throwing the kids in the air and roughhousing and this and that, and there's a place for that. But like, to genuinely show love and appreciation and just saying it, not just to say it and click the box, but like meaning it, saying it and showing it and doing that. I think we've missed those steps along the way. And I think we've gotten really good recently of being very connected with that now. And I think, we went through some growing pains and figuring this out as we've continued on this, but the idea now is like, we are going to show this from us. So that's why we put our relationship at the forefront, not the kids. Like, if things are going to happen first, it's going to happen with us. We are going to do this, and then we can bring the kids for something else. We are going to do that, and then the kids will be involved. We are the first priority.
Right. And I think that that's hard for a lot of people too, because with there being so many blended families or divorced families or whatever, like, now you're talking about you're starting a relationship with kids, which is what we did. We started a relationship with Jordan. Like, me and Jordan were a package deal, take us or leave us. And so we had to learn how to put our relationship first.
Right.
Because we didn't have the marriage and then the baby.
Right.
So it was like we had a whole new learning curve that we had to go through to go from, okay, well, how do I get out of my, I'm a single mom and I am independent and I'm this and I'm that and to allow you in.
Yeah.
To allow you into that top slot. And also not crush Jordan. Right? Like, not have him feel like he's competing with you.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, guys have to go through it too. Well, whoever comes into the family in that way. Like, I came into it by myself, into an already formed team. A hierarchy where things had to be shuffled around and dealt with, and try to fight for time and try to fight for attention and try to fight for this and that and that. And then, we did have a lot of learning curves with that. I think, on the flip side of it now, like, Jordan, like, he assumes that it's us first. Like, now it's just an assumption. The baby assumes that it's, mommy, daddy. She doesn't like it. Let's be realistic, because she's still a terror. Beautiful terror. Don't get me wrong. Don't call child services. She's great. But like, they know that it's mommy, daddy first. Like, it's always mommy, daddy first. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And there should be no other way. And if you are doing it another way, I think you're really missing out on a deeper level of connection for everything. And it's hard. I think putting each other first, especially when you have kids, I know for me was super difficult. And I came in as no one with kids. Like, I had to come in and learn how to be a dad and a boyfriend and a fiance, and I had to learn all those things on the fly versus just, us relating and then kids and marriage coming. I have a very tough time at prioritizing myself and the relationship before everyone else. And that is a big struggle for me that I still fight every day. I'm much better at it now. And Sean Whalen, who I do coaching with, he's a coach of both of ours now. He said, like, if there is a steak to eat, the normal tendency is people are going to say, well, I'm going to feed my family. The actual way you should function is I'm going to eat the steak, get the energy that I need. If that's all the food we have, I will eat it. I will go out and I will kill something bigger and I will bring back more food. And that is the way that you function. Mm-hmm. That's a man's role.
Yeah, that was something big for you to hear. Because, like, when you heard that, you were like,
yeah. It kicked me in the dick. Like, as I remember, looking at things and being like, well, I could really use that, but X, Y, and Z needs to go first. And I would do that over and over and over again.
Yeah. Which also put us in like a rift, because then I was feeling like, well, you're going to resent me.
Mm-hmm. I remember those conversations.
So it was like, if you don't fill your cup, like, you're going to resent me and the children.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
Right. And it's very possible that it could happen at some point. Like, you never know. But I mean, at the end of the day, the shift needs to be, and this is getting back to topic and getting back on everything, like, the nuclear family is key. Mother, father, gender roles, expectations, like, really putting the roles and responsibilities in there and saying, like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I will kill everything. And you will make sure that everything in this house stays alive. And the kids will move their roles. And, now the baby picks up her jobs and responsibilities in there, and she'll clean these things up and do this. Jordan has work now, and now he does, his chores. And it's like, this is how we function. This is how we move forward. And when one person slips, the team comes together to put it together. But if one person continuously slips, like, there's a meeting. Mm-hmm. Like, why the fuck aren't you pulling your weight? Like, what's the problem? When I go through down slumps in business, it's like, fuck, I'm not going to hide it from everybody. Like, why should I? Right. When I struggle with things or we transition into new offerings or anything like that, like, I'm going to be realistic. Hey, I'm going to be an asshole for the next week or so while this comes into play and things start to happen. Like, just so you know.
Right. But that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we know. And that goes back to the communication.
Right. It all goes together. It all goes hand in hand. But I think the thing we need to do now, and one of the biggest fights need to be, is men need to be men, women need to be women, and we need to set the roles up for our family. We have to be strong, solid role models for our family. And even if you don't have kids right now, you have nieces and nephews, you have cousins, you have this, you have that, to be that type of thing. Because I know for us, when family comes to visit, like, we don't operate like anybody else. So, like, when other kids come in and they visit and they look and they're like, wow, okay, well, your parents hold hands and they goof around and they touch and they goof and all that. Like, we operate differently. Like, that's how we function. Yeah. So it's not just doing that for your own kids. Like, if you don't have kids, it doesn't stop there with your roles. It doesn't stop there with prioritizing each other and showing that.
Fortify your relationship. Fortify that foundation so that when you do move into the next stage, or even if you don't, like, if you fortify that and you learn how to communicate and you have a strong foundation and there's no cracks in your foundation, then you're not going to be another statistic.
Yep. No, and you're going to be a role model for, you don't even know who's watching. Right. That's the bottom line. Like, kids need role models.
Right. And I mean, we know people who don't have children and they're like the best aunt and uncles ever. Mm-hmm. And their relationships are amazing.
Yep.
And it's, if I want my children to learn affection, then I have to show affection.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with me holding my husband's hand while we're walking.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with me giving you a kiss when you come into the room. There's not, like, yeah, children need to see that.
Yeah. And it's something that should be normalized. Like, love should be normalized again. Like, real love. Like, an actual physical relationship that shows the priority between two people, not just bullshit for social media.
No, right. And that was one of the big whys of why I started this, because it was so much like women just saying like, well, my husband doesn't have time. Well, my husband has his own thing, so he can't do this. Well, my husband has this. Like, fuck your husband, your team, fucking get together. Like,
yeah,
it's not. Don't sacrifice your whole life for your partner.
Right. Yeah, I mean there's no easier point than that. Like, if your partner is not willing to make any type of concession or give or priority to you, like I remember when I was working and doing everything, and you're like, "Hey, I need you to read this book." I was like, "All right, fine, like whatever you need." And it's not weak to do things for your woman. It's not weak to do things for your wife. It's not weak to really prop her up and push her forward. It actually is a deeper sign of, respect and honor and love to be like, I will hold this fucking sword, but I will also like love, support, like when you tell me you want to do something, I'm in. Like, tell me what you need me to do.
Well, remember, like when we were starting the podcast and we were starting the relationship group, and this was all my idea. Mm-hmm. And so it was like somebody had asked me, well, what are you going to do for you? And I said, wait a minute. Like, what do you mean? What am I going to do for me? Like, the podcast is mine. The relationship group is mine. Like, that's what I'm doing for me.
Yeah.
That's what fills my cup. Yeah. And you're basically doing it because, well, you have to. No. You're doing it as my support. You're like, yes, I'm in 100%. If that's what you want to do, I back you 100% and I'm in. Just tell me what I need to do and what we're doing. Like, and we sat down and we mapped out the whole thing and planned out exactly how the group was going to run and everything else. And you sit here and you take the time to do the podcast with me. And it was like, this is all like for me and you supporting me.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And that's, that's the support system that it looks at. And that's what works for us in the sense where it's like, you just use me like a sniper rifle. Just point me where you need me, pull the trigger. Like I'm there. You need me to yell at somebody? Cool. You need me to set something up? Cool. Like, what do you need me to do? And it's something where like, that's my role. Like I'm your partner.
Yeah. And that's what, like, I don't understand why men wouldn't want to support their work.
Fascinating. I have all sorts of theories.
Well, that's my passion. That's where this all started. This is where it all came from, because your partners, your teammates, and you should be supportive of each other. The wife shouldn't always have to sacrifice because the man is working or because he's the man or because, like, you guys are a team. Be a fucking team.
Yeah, it means get your head out of your ass, dudes. Like, get your head out of your ass. Like, we're all busy. We're all tired. We're all so going through everything. We all go through shit. You can't take an extra hour of your day to like plug into your wife in a non-sexual way and just be there to support and to grow and to talk and to communicate. Like, I know people that haven't gone on date nights for years. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, why? Or they want to take a date night and they want to snuggle up on the couch. Like, tell me how that's different than the other 6 nights of the week. Like, it doesn't make it different unless you make it different.
Right.
And if you just constantly do the same things, you will constantly get the same results. And if you want a better relationship, then act fucking better.
Yeah. And by the way, when you do all those things and you are better and you are supportive and you do like raise your wife up and put her on a silver platter, guess what? You get more of that sex.
You do? Yep.
I mean, you want more sex? There you go. There's the secret.
It's like, fucking science.
If you want, because that happens a lot where it's like the man will only come around when he wants sex. And then the wife is like, well, do I get like dinner out of this? Like, what do we like, it's like you want sex, but like, can you give me something that just puts me in the mood for that then? Like, can you support me outside of that?
I think we're going down a big rabbit hole of entitlement and self-righteousness and ego and all the other shit. And I think at the end of the day, if you want to be a good husband, like, fucking plug in. Fucking plug in. Yes, your job is to hunt, kill, protect. 100%.
Learn your wife's love language. Don't just bring her flowers and think that'll work, because that wouldn't work for me. But
nope.
Learn her love language. Give her what she needs.
Yeah, don't be afraid of taking an extra step. Don't be afraid of getting like.
Don't be afraid to make decisions and take the lead.
Oh shit, 100%. Well, you know what happens. You don't leave it to somebody else. If I'm going to go, we're going to go. Like, we're doing this tonight. We're doing that tomorrow. Like, yes, it's a normal thing to happen. But, you know, at the same point in time, like, really take the time to realize that you're doing this life together. Like, fucking take that role, establish it between each other, and know that she can rely on you to get off your ass and get your head out of your phone and stop fucking scrolling or playing video games. Like, put the fucking controllers and phones down. Like, be fucking present. Doesn't hurt. You know, actually, I would say, like, you're going to find so many more things that you love about the other person and that you're plugged into that, like, it's so much better than a phone. If you still need a fucking phone after that, like.
We've been together for a decade and we still have things to talk about.
Every date night, every day. Date night is just one more we can do without the inmates causing chaos in the asylum. But that's it. I mean, so, you know, hope this kind of rung true for somebody. Just, you guys just hear it and just know that we understand that it's not easy. We understand that society is trying to tell you so many different other things, but know that you have people out there that think like you do, that believe like you do, that know that it's normal to be a partnership and be a husband, be a father, be a wife, be a mother. Take those roles and grow together. Be true to your family. Like, really dive into that and really show the love from a point of modeling versus talking. And I think if you can just live your life a little bit deeper to that, I think it's going to go a lot longer. It'll change a lot more of society into the way we should be operating versus all the bullshit that's out there.
Yeah. So that's my why. That's my mission. I'm all for the nuclear family. I'm all for fortifying partnerships.
I'm all about
here for it.
I'm all about dudes getting their head out of their ass and get rolling. I mean, that's what it's all about. But we appreciate you guys being here, and I think, you know, I know this one's a little different than what we've talked about before, but at the end of the day, it still holds true to the normal reactions of communicate with each other, but be a partnership, be together, and like live this life together and understand you each have your own roles to play. But if you guys can't get clear on that together, then you have your own issues that you have to really work through. That being said, if you guys want to find out a little bit more about the coaching group, please go to P4 Connection. I'll leave the link in the description below. Just thank you guys so much. This journey has been so awesome so far, and we love your feedback. We love you guys checking us out, leaving us comments, or sending Danielle gets the messages all the time. You know, she always shares them with me, so please keep them coming. And on that note, please like, share, subscribe, all that good shit. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.